This is Prasoon, and I welcome you to Atom Barium Power Up episode number 1. Power Up is an idea series around learning automation, productivity, and performance. But hey, in this session, we just don't limit ourselves to telling you things, we also show you stuff. Alright, so let's move on. Today, we're going to talk about natural language translation. Okay, so you all know machine learning and AI is a big buzzword these days. Everybody talks about it, but some great work is happening, and there are broad field to which natural language processing belongs. uh, Now, within natural language processing, there are things like natural language translation, wherein you automatically convert one language into another language. Then you have things like classification or spam detection. So you see, when you get those emails and those spam mails are filtered out, how do that happen? They actually derive from the same branch of natural language processing, and spam detection algorithms are basically a natural outcome of some of the algorithms in NLP. Then you have things like information extraction. Given a bunch of load of content, can you extract out something important, something interesting, a pattern out of it? Then you have things like text summaries. You must have seen those websites which give you in short summary of news. They kind of derive from the same technology. Then you have things like entity extraction and systems that take your data and maybe they then answer some of your question like us, like a smart assistant. Well, I'm sure I would have bogged you down with a lot of technology talk. And before you get overwhelmed, let me assure you, in this session, we are going to only talk about natural language translation. Okay, so let's pick up a business case. Suppose you have a learning management system and you have a question bank in it. It's quite a popular question bank, some 50 odd questions in English, but it's quite a rock star bank. You've created so many test paper out of it, given it to your end users, and they have been scored, graded, and they have loved it. With success some comes more responsibility and more challenges. Suddenly your organization has a global audience that they have to handle. And these audience are not comfortable with English. Now what do? Their demands could be funny. They want the same experience, the same question bank now to be in French or Spanish, Hindi, Russian, Thai, or whatever may be your language. What would you do now? Well, of course, maybe you know some of these languages, so you'll go ahead and translate it yourself. Well, that's one surely a possibility. Or else you may use your favorite vendor, or you may go to a freelancer who translate these banks for you. Well, of course you can do that, but then there's a cost of translation and time. And the audience that we have, they demand everything the next day. So what do? Would you go through this the rather longer route of translating and being able to translate and do these things later, or there could be a smarter way to do it? Well, of course, there's a smarter way. Therefore, I was talking about it, and that's natural language translation that comes to your rescue. And without much ado, like I promised you, Power Up is about showing things and not just telling. So, we're gonna see how this really works. All right, so now let's look at our question banks. Now, imagine you have this question bank, and it's got three questions in it. These are the questions that are there. They are all in English. They are objective type question, and all the answers that you see are over here. For example, this question is about who is Lula da Silva, and the right answer has a tick. So left wing president of Brazil. Okay, my GK is not that good, so I didn't know that, but acting as if I knew it. This is the answer, and then there are other choices which are, of course, incorrect. Now let's go back to this question bank. And let's first go and look at how does our how does our end user see this test. So okay, let me take this test. So the first question is what is capital of India? Okay, so I answer it, and then I don't know the answer of this question, so let me just go ahead, submit, and move on. Well, I cheated here. I know this is the answer, so I submit it, and we are done. So this is how somebody experiences the quiz in English. Now let's just go back and use this magic wand. This powerful magic wand gives you the power of translating the entire bank into the language of your choice. So I press this and it welcomes me with the possible languages that it can convert it to. Well, I really don't know French, so Let me take this English bank and convert it into French. Let me press translate. Wow, this nice red bar is telling me that please don't sleep. Translation will be done soon. And I wait for it. By the time it loads, I want to tell you that there are empty number of languages that you can choose from. There's a huge base of more than 100 languages that you can choose from. Okay, so while I was buying time, the conversion has happened, and for people who know French, please tell me that this is the correct translation because I myself don't know. But let's go head into the question bank, or let's leave it. Let's go back and let's go to the end user and see how does the test change for him. Okay, so I go back and I'm gonna retake this test now, this time in French. Okay, so well, I really don't. I guess this is the answer. hmm So this is good. This is good. I really don't know. Well, but as you can see, everything's been converted to French. Let's do it quickly another one. I'm kind of liking it. Convert into language which I know, probably Hindi. Let's press translate. While I sing my favorite song, this is translating, and in a moment when it gets translated, I would be able to show to you. Well, but it is not bad. I mean, if you have a question bank, let's say you have to translate it takes you 5 hours, and then to upload it takes 10 minutes. Here, you're gonna spend probably 5 minutes translating it, and then okay, let me run the test again. Oh, I surely know this language. This is my mother tongue, so I know it. I can um, I can assure you that the translation is correct. Well, let me also confess to you that I mean things are never that easy. So when you use this kind of a methodology, it's not going to be just a cakewalk, but you will have to maybe edit some of the question as per your need. Many a times these translation act funny. However, things have really improved and you may not see that kind of a bad translation. But it is not just press of a button. Of course, it is much better deal. You spend 5 hours translating and putting money in it, you click it, the translation happens in 5 minutes, and then you spend let's say another 20 minutes maybe refining those questions. That's a fair deal, really, right? What do you think? So, guys, thanks a lot. This is all for today's session, and let's keep powering up. Thanks a lot.